Okay, so now I want to walk you through just a couple of student examples of annotated bibliographies. So let's click on this in the module. Okay, so these two examples are real student examples from last semester. So let's look at the first one. Okay, so you'll notice the way that this student formatted it. So she has her heading up here. So student name, professor's name, English course, and then the date it was due. And then immediately after that, no skipping of any lines, she has her title. Now, in this case, just as I did in my example, she chose to use a phrase from one of the sources as her main title, and that's why it's in quotation marks, the progression on self-image, annotated bibliography. So here is her first source, formatted according to MLA guidelines. And then immediately, no skippings of any line or any lines or anything. She has her brief but detailed summary of the source, wherein she talks about what the main focus of the source is, how the writer supports that source, followed by an assessment of the source's quality, so what she thinks the source did well, maybe pointing out some of the limitations of the source, and then finally a brief indication of how she plans to use the source or how it connects to one or any of the other sources she may have found. And then she skips a line and then immediately follows it with her next source. So here's the publication information, then she has her brief but detailed summary, then she has her brief assessment of the source, and then an indication of how she plans to use it or how it connects to the other source, and then she has her third one. Publication information, summary, assessment of the quality, and then how she plans to use the source. So again, each of these annotations should be a minimum of 250 words, and that's to ensure that we're being thorough enough and making sure that we're actually really assessing the sources critically. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. That's one way that you need to revise if your annotations weren't thorough enough, right? And then we can look at the second student example. Excuse me. Now this one, so she has the same the heading, her title, the publication information for this particular source. This annotation, even though it is at least 250 words in length, it's a little lopsided, but I just wanted to point this out still to you guys. So I would prefer that you dedicate more time to the first two versus the very last, right? And she does that in the next ones. But it's important that you're thorough with your annotations, making sure that you're being very specific and incorporating specific details and quoting anything you might need to if it's directly from the source, and making sure you're paying attention to that. But yeah, your annotated bibliographies will look something like this, right? So use this as your template, more or less. All right, y'all.